we showed you some poll numbers before, and as we discussed, the independent numbers, a toss-up right now, and who's better in the economy, also pretty close. But here's where, as big a gap as you're going to find right now, among women voters, almost a 20-point spread between the president and Mitt Romney. And a lot of people say it has to do with maybe the resurrection of the culture wars that we certainly saw come up during the primary process, something that a lot of us didn't think was certainly going to be an issue, with the economy being issue number 1, 2, and 3 with the American public, but nonetheless it came up. And the widening gender gap that you see, a lot of people believe directly is attached to that polarizing debate over contraception that took hold of Washington during the first part of the year. Take a listen here, 2 different sound bites from 2 different female lawmakers on whether or not this is going to be a big hurdle to climb for the GOP. Let's start first with Nita Lowey's colleague in the House, Ms. Wasserman Schultz. I promise it's coming. It's coming.
The focus of the Republican Party on turning back the clock for women really is something that's unacceptable and shows how callous and insensitive they are towards women's priorities.
So this is a president that is trying to create distractions. There is no war on women. Women are doing well. We're more thoughtful than a label. We care about jobs and the economy and health care and education. We care about a lot of different things.
Right,
so don't
Governor.
label us and call us victims.
Okay, and that obviously Governor Haley out of South Carolina, who doesn't buy it. The poll numbers say something different. You've been there in the House. You've heard the speeches from the floor. You've seen some of the proposed legislation, some of the legislation that has ground to a halt. The Violence Against Women Act jumps to mind. Is this regular politics, or have you seen what you've seen this year before?
Frankly, I've never seen anything quite as extreme as this year. It's amazing to me that the Violence Against Women Act, which I recently talked about with our DA Janet DiFiore in White Plains, is a subject of controversy. I mean, there is violence, it hasn't decreased, and it's essential to reauthorize this bill so we can get the dollars down to local communities. So for the Republicans to take a position against the Violence Against Women Act just doesn't make any sense at all. Now, contraception. Can you really believe in the year 2012 we're having argument about contraception? No one's forcing anybody to use contraception. In fact, there are those who try and be very persuasive about it. But women make up their own mind as to, we're not talking about abortion, we're talking about contraception. 98% of women, 98% of Catholic women use contraception. So to have an argument about contraception, and when you watch those debates...
And I'll be honest, Dick, when I thought this conversation originally began, that it was around the Catholic Church and associations tied to the church, I thought that might have been a politically viable debate. But when it broadened out, and frankly, the candidates took the bait and made this a broader conversation about contraception, you see it in the poll numbers.
Well,
politically, this was dumb.
One candidate took the bait, and it was
then
Rick
the other ones went along
Santorum.
with it.
And Rick Santorum, that is why Mitt Romney is saying goodbye and good riddance, because I think everyone knows that he made this about culture wars, and as you pointed out, this election is not about culture wars, and if you are running in this environment, if you make it about culture wars, you're never going to win. And I think Romney understands that.
But it's
and
not
was
just the
stuck with it.
presidential, Dick. Andrew and I have covered state after state after state are putting more and more restrictive abortion policies in place here, with Republican governors being the only commonality. And if you look at the polling, this isn't smart politics. Forget about principle for a minute. This isn't what the public wants. And in an election year, I got to think the RNC is kicking themselves, saying, we got a vulnerable president. What are we doing here?
Well, I think that on a state-by-state basis, there are some states who would support you if you were the governor, and you put states in the South. I mean, we know that. But I think largely in the main states, this isn't a big debate issue. I think it only became a serious debate issue when Rick Santorum sort of went all in. And he's done this on a number of issues which really put, ironically, Romney on a fringe where Romney has never been. I think when he leaves, I think you're going to see this campaign etch-a-skate pivot, and you're going to see Romney run like the devil to economics, because that's what the Republicans have been literally rolling things, throwing softballs to Barack Obama. And look what he's doing with them. His last couple of pitches, he's been hitting out of the park.
These policy pitches really are Christmas gifts to their base, to the conservative Republican base. And the hope is, I think, in the general election, that other issues will dominate so much more that most voters either will forget or certainly won't, these issues won't push their vote one way or another.
But wait a minute.
Look at your neighboring district, Congresswoman,
Yeah.
and I look at Nan Hayworth, who's running for re-election here, and I had her on the show, and she couldn't wrap her arms around the Tea Party more than she did. Now, all of a sudden, she's saying, you know what? It's hard to be true to the Tea Party because I want to be true to my constituencies. I think that's a canary in a coal mine. I think they're wrestling with this problem that, wait a minute, you know, I'm not going to get reelected if I do this.
Hey, wait a second. You know, I think too many people forget what being a member of Congress is or being a public official. And the people want to believe you. They want to believe that you're going to tell the truth. And if you keep changing your position and the opposition, whether it's to Nan Hayworth or the Romney campaign, is going to have clips of everything people said in those debates, and they will remind them of what they said. So I know that Romney is going to try and change his position, but I have a feeling that the public is going to be reminded of the positions he took in the debate.
But
either you believe in it or you don't.
But
How do you get
here's
rid
what
of
I'm
Planned Parenthood, by the way?
I'm sorry?
I mean, how do you say get rid of Planned Parenthood?
Well,
Planned Parenthood provides basic health care for women. They do mammographies. They do all kinds of assistance for women to keep healthy the people who can't afford to go to their local doctor.
The only thing I would follow up on your point is I think sometimes in Washington, with respect to you, people should be a little less rigid in their positions. I would love to see people change their mind in Washington. We have two groups in Washington that basically have a government that doesn't even function. We have a left and a right, and there is no center. And I would love to see some people say, you know what, I changed my mind. I don't know why, and I'm not talking about Romney in particular, but politics in general. You're not allowed to ever go out of this rigid, I'm on the left, I'm on the right.
The only thing I'd say on that is it comes across to the general public. If it was, hey, listen, we saw it in Albany. Lawmakers changed their mind on gay marriage, and it came across as genuine. I'm sure there was some political head counting, but that came across as, hey, I principally changed my stand over the years because for whatever reason. But so much of it seems calculated, and in the case of Romney, I think that's going to be his biggest hurdle. Now, before I let you go on this one, all of a sudden you're mapping your district. You wake up one day and you're like, wait a second, what happened? You know, now all of a sudden you had a little Rockland, now you got the whole thing.
And you can't vote for me anymore. You don't have to answer that.
Yes, let me ask you though, is this a major pain in the you-know-what?
No, let me tell you, it's bittersweet because, frankly, I've been representing Larchmont, Mamaroneck, Scarsdale, New Rochelle, etc., Rye, for a long time. And it's not just people voting for you, you develop friendships. I really have some good friends in Bronxville, for example, Mary Mulville.
Mary Mulville,
Mary
my
Mulville.
sister, full disclosure,
The definition of inside baseball.
Yes,
Keep going.
okay.
And I've been going out to all parts of Rockland, because now I will have all parts of Rockland and northern Westchester, places like Buchanan and Croton that I haven't represented before, and they've been very welcoming. And the issues that I've been working on, whether it's the Hudson River, the Long Island Sound, or the whole range of issues, I'll be continuing to work with the issues. But it's disappointing that I'm going to not have all those friends there.
A very, very perfectly politically answered question. Now let me ask you. You're losing a couple friends here. A couple members of the delegation are calling it quits this year. You got Congressman Ackerman and also Mo Hinchy, who are waving goodbye to Washington. He's not well. And we obviously wish him the best. You're almost approaching your 39th birthday here. So as maddening as Washington is, have you ever said, hey, maybe these guys got this thing figured out here. Enough is enough.
Should I tell you the truth?
Please
Number
don't lie to
one,
me.
I love what I do.
Yeah.
We do extraordinary work in just helping people. The issues somehow have not all been resolved, and I'm the leading contender to be the head of the whole Appropriations
Very
Committee.
sweet gig.
Chair if Democrats win, and ranking member if by chance we don't win back the House. So there are tremendous challenges, and I've been all over the new district, and I hope I will continue to earn the support of my constituents, new and old.
And just think, you don't have to go against one of these primaries like some of your friends who are fighting against their own friends in these.
That's the most difficult. When
Congresswoman, I know you got a lot of stuff to do here. By the way, Dick, nobody runs me like her. The other ones I can be nasty with. With her, I let her roll right over me. But as always, Congresswoman, thank you so much.
Thank you. Pleasure to be. Good seeing you.
All right.